In the glittering and neon-colored Hollywood showcase of the 80s, she was a star who mesmerized everyone with her innocent beauty, but slowly disappeared behind that fake glitter. Welcome to Iconic Lives. Today, we will discuss the dark story of Jennifer Runyon, remembered for her famous scene in Ghostbusters, whose soul was crushed in the ruthless wheels of Hollywood, her youth exploited, and who tragically died in a cancer battle after being buried in silence. Born in Chicago in 1960, as the daughter of a radio announcer father and an actress mother, she started breathing the toxic air of show business as a baby. Her family's connection to the fame world was not a blessing, but an inevitable dark curse. Under the fake warmth of the spotlights, she was raised like a puppet shaped solely by the industry's strict rules, without experiencing a real childhood. This was the first major and extremely dark fracture deep inside her soul. The early 80s, when she stepped into her career, was an extremely dark and abusive era where young women were seen merely as pieces of meat in cinema. When she starred in the bloody 1980 film To All a Good Night, she met Hollywood's dark face. This disgusting subculture, where young girls were brutally murdered and marketed through pure nudity, became that first major bloody trauma that stole her innocence and opened very deep, horrific wounds in her fragile mind.
The industry constantly demanded that she display her body and be that unreachable sex object adorning men's sick fantasies. In boundary-pushing teen comedies like 1984's Up the Creek, she became the prime target of men's greedy and perverse stares. While smiling like a monument of flawless beauty in front of the camera, the disgusting psychological pressures and hidden harassment she faced behind the scenes created a massive, dark, inescapable prison right inside her mind.
Her famous role in Ghostbusters as the beautiful girl flirted with and favored by the professor played by Bill Murray was actually a sick summary of Hollywood's view on women. This striking scene, absolute proof of how powerful older men manipulated young women, seemed like the absolute peak of Jennifer's acting career. But it was actually the most ruthless, uncensored, and dark document of her being heavily trapped in the toxic and deeply unequal dynamic of the industry. She became America's sweetheart as Gwendolyn Pierce in the highly successful series Charles in Charge. However, being suddenly fired from the cast after appearing only in the first season slammed the ungrateful and cruel reality of fame right in her face. Those ruthless producers, who used and threw away young actors like tissues just for ratings, brutally shattered her massive dreams. This deeply unexpected and unfair firing created a terrible insecurity in her inner world. She painted a fake picture of family happiness by playing Cindy Brady in the movie A Very Brady Christmas. But beneath those joyful Christmas lights lay a desperate woman terrified of losing her identity, forced to live in the shadows of former stars. She was absolutely never allowed to create her own original career. She was constantly marketed as a backup for other projects or a sex symbol. This disgusting depersonalization policy strictly applied slowly crushed her soul. By the 90s, the industry's insatiable hunger for fresh meat ruthlessly pushed Jennifer aside. Hollywood strictly applied its disgusting system on her, instantly declaring women who left their 20s behind as old and totally worthless. That bright star whose door producers once begged at suddenly turned into a pathetic, completely forgotten backup left to rot, whose phones never rang. This massive rejection caused an absolutely irreparable collapse in her psychology. She desperately tried to escape this fake world completely by marrying Todd Corman in 1991. However, those heavy traumas experienced in front of the cameras and the dark, toxic marks Hollywood left on young women could never be erased by hiding within the four walls of a house. Her attempt to build an ordinary life away from the spotlights was actually a futile attempt to hide the massive wreckage inside. That humiliating feeling of worthlessness haunted her like a dark ghost. Instead of taking revenge on the producers who ruthlessly exploited her beauty and youth, she chose to sink into complete silence. Leaving acting to become a teacher seemed like a peaceful choice from the outside, but it was actually a desperate escape to break free from that blood-sucking industry. It was the very silent rebellion of a desperate woman who could no longer endure those disgusting power games, abusive directors, and greedy studios making money off her sad body. While living quietly for years, she fought terrifying wars deep inside herself. Once sharing the exact same set with world-famous actors, she now carried the massive burden of those dark days left only in her memories all alone. The media's utter indifference and her fans completely forgetting her slammed the reality of how fake and temporary fame was in her face every single day. Hollywood's glamorous doors had closed on her forever, leaving only a heavy, dark isolation. Even though she desperately tried to survive by doing podcasts or taking part in small independent projects, she could never escape that massive shadow of the 80s. People only wanted to remember her in her young, attractive past self and absolutely could not tolerate the presence of an aging woman. This clearly proved how deadly the toxic Hollywood perception created on body image truly was. She was a completely forgotten, tragic figure, shelved in cinema's dusty history. The cruel claws of time slowly began to take away her health, just as they destroyed her career. When she received that horrifying cancer diagnosis in late 2025, the darkest and deadliest war of her life officially began. She had survived Hollywood's fake plastic world, but this time she faced a real, highly ruthless monster, eating her own body from the inside out. Far away from those former glorious days, she fell into a terrifying dark hell of extreme pain and agony. The entire cancer treatment process was an absolute bloody physical and psychological torture. As her flawless blonde hair fell out and her body melted under the toxic effect of chemotherapy, there was no trace left of those massive crowds who worshipped her beauty. She was left totally alone with the terrifying fear of death within the cold, gloomy walls of hospital rooms. It clearly proved how useless and pathetic fame and money truly are when it comes to saving a human life. In that bloody, savage 6-month battle with cancer, her fragile body raised the white flag of surrender a little more each day. The loud laughs she let out in her famous movies were replaced by painful moans echoing in the hospital room at night. That glamorous actress, once watched by millions, had turned into a desperate victim, about to take her last breath alongside the cold sounds of machines. The dark angel of death was waiting right at her bedside to end her deep agony. Finally, on the tragic night of Friday, March 6, 2026, her tired and deeply painful body could resist no more. At exactly 65 years old, she passed away in the ruthless and deadly grip of severe cancer. That long, difficult journey of her life tragically ended in a dark hospital bed, amidst the sad tears of her family. That innocent girl whom Hollywood once heavily exploited and discarded like trash had now embarked on that horrifying, irreversible path of death to the cold earth. The completely fake condolence messages shared on social media after the news of her sad death proved once again how deeply hypocritical and disgusting the show business really is. Those fake friends who turned their backs on her, excluded her from projects, and entirely forgot her while alive, lined up to capitalize on her tragic death. Those absent during her dark cancer days were now crying crocodile tears using her name. This was the most brutal betrayal of her holy memory. The painful messages shared by a few true friends like Erin Murphy clearly showed just how massive and devastating the tragic loss truly was. Unfortunately, absolutely no one fully saw that massive wreckage and deep disappointment hidden behind that perfectly beautiful smile. She was a deeply broken soul who tried to survive in that wild and sexist cinema machine of the 80s, but was completely consumed. Those flowers placed on her cold grave would never cover her dark loneliness. Jennifer Runyon's dark story is the extremely tragic fall of a young woman caught in fame's toxic charm. Her stunning beauty punched her ticket to success, but simultaneously formed the cold iron bars of her very own terrifying prison. Being brutally forced to market her body in a male-dominated industry and being ruthlessly forgotten when they were done had completely killed her soul long before the cancer did. Those few famous scenes she left behind are actually silent, sad screams. As iconic lives, today we expose the hidden harassment, complete abandonment, and that dark, tragic loneliness on the deathbed, hiding behind Hollywood's fake smiles. Jennifer Runyon did not belong to the joyful world of Ghostbusters. She was the ultimate victim of a bloody system that ruthlessly exploited and silently left her to die. There is always severe pain and hidden tears behind those bright screens. Keep facing the chilling, deadly truths of dark legends. Goodbye for now, friends.